No message. Hello.
Hello.
And again, welcome to yet another episode of the Horror Rumble. Has a month gone
Season
by already?
season 3 finale.
Season 3 finale. This is our 36th episode. 36?
Yeah.
And we only do one show a month. And I mean, I guess 37 if you count the last summer S'mores and Doors special, but it's not really. It was a, license to another channel. But this is Horror Rumble 36. And we're doing a good one. I don't think a franchise or franchises that get enough respect for the impact they had to younger boys in the 1980s and early 90s.
I wholeheartedly agree. Oh.
I'm glad you do. You don't have your usual, you don't have any banter?
I'm sorry. I'm a little out of sorts. It's been an emotional couple of weeks. Had one kid graduate high school last week and then another kid move out this week, so it's just I'm here.
A lot.
I'm
That's
here.
a lot to take in.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, you know what they say, 95% of life is just to show up, so
It's interesting.
you can't do anything unless you show up. So
Well, some of our guests have been unable to show up or showing up late, but we do have a fantastic guy who's saved other shows before in the green room already, and hopefully our other friends
don't you
will
want to
be
say hi to the people in the chat first?
joining us as well. Yeah, of course. Our good buddy Steak Sauce.
Steak and his peckas.
Well, that's his way of saying hello. So we've missed him. He's been gone for a few episodes, but as things happen, get busy in other life stuff. Hopefully we'll see him back sometime. Winter Steel 888-888-888.
What's up?
Regular in the chat. Good to see you. And
We got Orc there too.
Sorry. I'm getting buzzed, but not my guest. Who? Oh.
Saying hi to Orc in the chat.
Sorry, Orc145626. Hello. It's been a while since we've seen him on the screen, but definitely shows up in the chat a lot. But good to see Orc. And I think that's it, other than the sexy guy joining us here in a second. Well, I guess our ramblings aren't really carrying on. I don't have any gimmicks. I mean, I am wearing pajama pants, but
maybe we should have came on in lingerie.
A drill bit. Well, I thought about having like some panties or a bra hanging, but for me there's a lot of
I don't think Mrs. Channel would have liked that too much.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been a good idea. I wouldn't have used hers, but then I would have had to go buy a pair.
I could just see Mrs. Channel dropping in the chat there going, Jess, whose are those?
Yeah, it just none of the scenarios would have been good for that. So there's a little drill bit here. Yeah. Anyway. Bring up Dan's comment.
I'll read it up. Oh, Dan.
Oh, Dan the man.
I think on that note, it's a good time to bring
Just
him
bring him
on.
in. Just bring him in.
Just bring him in.
No,
What's up, guys? Thanks for letting me in. Coming in raw. How's it going?
Well,
Going well.
I'm a little scared now, but
This might be the horniest episode of the Horror Rumble yet.
And that's saying something.
Yeah.
For this show. That is saying something.
50% more boobs on the Horror Rumble.
Well, we were talking backstage, Dan, that this is considered what is called like the Massacre franchise, and it's actually like 3 different franchises, if not more, combined. But the main franchise, true franchises of this, and they're not even really, they're their own thing, are the Slumber Party Massacre franchise trilogy, and a rebootish. We'll get to that, and the Sorority House Massacre trilogy. But
yes.
The Cheerleader Massacre trilogy, I think, would be, we're not getting into that too deep, but that is also considered kind of a part of this officially, semi-officially.
Yeah, I'll explain that later. Not a trilogy, but that gets, we'll get there.
Okay. And then there's tons of other like knockoffs to these movies that are in no way connected.
Well, is it safe to say that this is kind of like what they do or what they're doing with Amityville? Where they can just put Amityville in front of anything?
Yeah, I mean, because Amityville's a place, so you can't copyright that. Most of the knockoffs to this, just you can say Slumber Party, whatever, or Sorority House, whatever. So yeah, there's a lot that kind of attach themselves, then it gets murky because Brink Stevens is a very active scream queen, so she's popped up in some of that stuff, and there's a lot of homages out there to these movies.
It's a nice way to put it.
Yeah.
Well, we won't dive too deep into it, but Kory was actually in the... He had written... I don't know if you wrote a full script or you wrote a treatment for Frat House Massacre or something like that. Frat
something
Party
like
Massacre.
that. It was a short. It wasn't anything spectacular, but I remember that the reason I started writing that was because, well, one, you and I were trying to work on something, and I think I had just picked up like the Slumber Party Massacre box set. So.
Nice.
Well, we'll get into that when that was happening. I don't know. They Rise came about. If you heard that,
They Rise came about later, but
not much later though. I don't know what happened to, because I think I was excited enough for that, what you were doing, that's when I revisited these, which we'll, I guess, get into. Should we? We'll go ahead and start again. Hopefully, a few more friends will join us. If not, this group can rumble.
Sweet.
The Slumber Party Massacre, 1982. Video store.
Yeah, gentlemen, I'm gonna let you in on a secret about this movie that not many people know. That drill is symbolism for his penis. I know.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you never saw it before, and now you'll never see it the same way again.
Jeez.
Well, yep. He drills them, get it? Penetration.
I got it.
So,
I might not have got that as a young lad when I first watched these, but definitely by adulthood, I got it.
Stabbing him with his penis.
I can tell you guys where I first seen all of these movies. I happened to catch them on USA Up All Night, so I'm curious as to where you guys saw them first.
For me, video. although I would have caught any of those USA Up All Night streams too. I did a lot of times I'd record those because if I had access to the actual movie or the tape, I knew I wasn't getting the good bits.
Well, you're getting it blurred on USA Up All Night.
It was that, or oh, Christy, let's go shower, and then it's like that was a nice shower as they're walking out with
As
their
it
towel.
cut.
Yeah,
I remember more blurring though on USA Up All Night than actual full cuts because a lot of these movies, especially these type, have the
so much
story happening while there's nudity.
Yeah, that gets very hard to cut it later. Yeah. But yeah, no, the original, the one that started it all, 1982. Kind of an odd gap in years between these movies as well, because 82, you're in that golden era of the slasher, and it took so long to get the sequel. We were, slasher movies were kind of in the waning years at that point. So, but yeah, this was the one that started it all from 82. Director Amy Holden Jones, and it's funny because you wouldn't expect these movies to have female directors, at least some of them.
I think all three of the Slumber Party female director and the first Sorority House is a female director.
But wasn't this also wrote by a female too?
I think the first one was at least.
It started out as a script. I think "Don't Open the Door" was the name of the script, which it's a movie too later. But Rita Mae Brown, who was an author and a feminist activist, who originally wrote this as a slasher parody, and the producers kind of altered the script, obviously against her wishes, and it's pretty wild because Amy Holden Jones, who directed the first one, turned down an offer from Steven Spielberg to edit E.T. to make this movie. So,
wow.
She had a passion for directing, I assume. Then
you want to direct that movie,
which she later did. I don't know if you're getting to that, but some bigger movies.
Yeah,
Beethoven, Indecent Proposal.
Yeah,
Mystic Pizza, I think, is another popular.
It might have been her,
yeah.
These were all movies she directed?
Yes.
Oh wow.
If I did my research right.
Yeah, well, it's a tough decision, but she's looking, obviously it's Steven Spielberg, so he was a huge deal in the 80s at this point, but if directing's your dream, you never know if you're going to get that call again. So you got to do what you got to do. And yeah, so I think what really stands out for me in this movie, I mean, my childhood crush, Brink Stevens, most iconic shower scene, I think, ever. And I think what also sets it apart, though, is the villain, Michael Villela, who plays Russ Thorne. I always thought he was great. I thought he was a really creepy killer. I know that little walk he did, he kind of got inspiration from a peacock. So that's essentially how he's moving. If you watch him, like a peacock moves, and the way he turns his head and everything. It was that, and he had just read Helter Skelter, which is where the I Love You stuff comes into the story. This is just a great B movie. I mean, anything that kind of carried that Corman name at the time, particularly the early 80s, man, like early mid 80s, there are just so many great Corman B movies, and this is one of them. I think it's still, there's still a lot of humor there. Maybe the drill getting broken is remnants of the Rita Mae Brown script. It kind of feels like it makes sense. And
I'm assuming eating the pizza off the pizza guy.
Yeah. It's got a great sense of humor. It's just a really great popcorn slasher, in my opinion. Was this like well, I know Kory, you said it wasn't for you, but Jess, was this like a first time watch, or had you seen it back in the day?
Oh no, I had the original one. I have seen it multiple times back in the day.
Oh, okay,
And
sweet.
first experience is almost definitely the video store. And I
Mhm.
remember these covers, and we'll get probably half of these. I'm going to say that every movie that seeing them at the video store at a young age, and I could rent horror. And then, watching this first one, Slumber Party Massacre, and one of my top notes, video store rental, boobs and horror. And it's like, so as a little a young chap, it's quite delightful. And it's a bonus when both you have plenty of that, not just, quick flashes, but plenty of that
Mhm.
stuff in this movie and a fun horror story. I was in heaven. So they were, I think, not too obsessive because I like to watch all sorts of different new movies as I could, but there
Mhm.
were multiple rentals.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like I said, it's funny that it was directed by a woman, but I saw this very young, so it was giving me everything I could possibly hope for in a
Yeah.
movie at that time. I was sad to hear that Robin Still, who played Valerie, and also Babs in Sorority Babes in the Slimeball Bolorama, another Brink Stevens classic, had uh, unfortunately self-deleted, I guess is the friendly YouTube word, in 1996. Didn't do a lot of movies, but I was always a big fan of hers. American Ninja 4 was another one. So some sad stuff, unfortunately, behind the scenes, um, but yeah, no, Corman
Well,
was kind of a pioneer.
Corman, he didn't totally really produce these, but it was released under his company.
Yeah, so yeah, he inherited the producer
Yeah.
credit. Yeah.
And what was the other? And of course, Brink Stevens, if you're a big fan, I don't know if you've checked out, but the movies Mommy and Mommy 2, Mommy's Day,
Yes.
some low
Yes.
budget thrillers.
Grandmother's House, Haunting Fear. I mean, Brink has been in hundreds and hundreds of movies. Hey, Riverman, how's it going? But yeah, Michael Villela was just a method actor, and he didn't talk to anybody on set. He was just there, purposely intimidating some of his co-stars, and I think that's one thing that really helps this movie, I think, stand out from a lot of different films at the time.
And honestly, I still think it holds up if you're a horror fan, especially if you want a taste of good or true 80s horror slasher.
It's funny because we've reviewed a lot of slashers lately, a lot of modern slashers, and I think this specifically holds up because there's just a lot that they don't do anymore. If you go really really low budget, sometimes you can still Gator Blade films where they'll show you some of the skin and some of the sex stuff that they're afraid to do now, unfortunately. And it's an interesting comparison, even with the new Slumber Party Massacre reboot or whatever you want to call it. That certainly the one thing missing in that movie is the skin. They just didn't want to do it, but
And which is 50% of these movies, basically.
was
As
as we go on, it's a big part. Yes,
you know. But yeah, that's where my experience was, like you said, the first time. But then there was a long gap after those multiple rentals, and it was out in California in around, I want to say 2010, maybe 2009. Kory and I were trying to develop either a short or a feature, and I got super excited about his frat party massacre idea, whatever. And I think one of the things that stopped us there was sort of a resurgence of people trying to do those types of movies again around that time.
Mhm.
And somebody did end up coming up with a similar title and got a movie out before we really got it into even full pre-production. So, like, there was, even I knew guys who did Patton Oswalt was in it. I knew that they made Dude Bro Party Massacre.
Oh yeah,
Saw that one.
yeah, I did.
I know
That's
the dudes
actually a
that
lot
made
of fun.
that.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, that's actually a lot of fun. That's a
Yeah.
really funny movie.
They do also, I think it's called 5-second films.
Mhm.
They're pretty popular for, but yeah, know those guys fairly well.
Yeah, these are very influential. I mean, obviously, a lot of Friday the 13th clones, a lot of Halloween clones. But what up, Mikey? Good to see you,
Mikey brother.
But Slumber Party Massacre, there's a lot of knockoffs. You talk knockoffs. I mean, obviously, Aliens, both really have countless knockoffs.
Oh, yeah.
Die Hard might be the knockoff king as far as movies that kind of copied the formula, but Slumber Party Massacre specifically, just that feel, that mood. What up, Chris? Certainly you're a Slumber Party Massacre guy, Chris, I would assume.
Yes.
But yeah, no, these movies are just good fun.
They are. And you were saying of the knockoffs of those other movies, but the thing with these knockoffs is that they really try to play like they're part of the franchise. The ones for the Slumber Party Massacre movies.
Yeah. What up? Is that Feruza Balk here?
No.
Sorry. Can't tell. Oh, no, that's Selma Blair.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a long time, but a friend of our show and channel, Mr. Andrew from The Evil Beat.
What's up?
Did I get that right, Andrew?
From
yeah,
the what?
dude. It's a video zine that for like music and stuff.
Oh, very cool.
I'm really jealous of y'all's uniforms. That's so cool.
We're like the Ghostbusters.
Man, that's so cool. Sorry, I ran late. I apologize.
Oh, it's okay. We're only on the first movie, so
I'm glad you showed. Yes, perfect timing. Actually, I was just finishing up talking about my section of the first movie. I don't even know if Kory's finished with his thoughts, and so.
Well, my main thought on the first one was that it was. I agree with you guys. It's a fun movie, and probably my favorite scene is the scene where they're like the one chick's like, why I can't talk today.
The shower scene is the correct answer.
No, that's the obvious answer, but besides the shower scene or any other nude scene, it's the part where the one chick tries or starts eating the pizza off the pizza guy. That scene always stuck to me. So.
Good stuff. You know what? I just got this thought in my head, and I know it's from a different movie. I think it's from Offerings. Do you guys remember Offerings when the pizza guy comes and there's something about going on about somebody's fingers were cut off? Does that sound familiar?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that movie so much. It's so fun. Yeah. But I do love the first movie. I last time I watched it was when that 4K came out a few months ago.
Oh, so pretty recent then.
Yes.
Cool.
It's always a treat when one of the Nightmare Sisters ends up in 4K. So we got Brink Stevens in this one, which is awesome.
Yes.
Oh yeah, and I don't know. I don't want to jump ahead, but it's spoilers. She doesn't die in this movie because she shows up later, which is great.
Yeah, that is
going to be
true.
Interesting with you. Yeah. Are you talking the cheerleader massacre?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they just kind of ignore the whole death thing. It's just kind of.
See, I don't count those, but again, we'll get to those because Dan wants to discuss them, and you're more than welcome to as well. Your experience.
I definitely do count them. I like this little weird universe. Like, I don't want to jump ahead too because the second and third movie are kind of the same movie basically. But I just thought it was kind of funny. I think the first time I watched this movie, I thought that like that chick next door and like the main chick were like into each other or something like that. I thought they were gonna end up like hooking up or something. It was really weird. But you know that little girl was really funny in this movie. The like really like I don't know, like bratty like little sister of hers or whatever. She was really
Yeah.
good in this movie too. Yeah, and I guess this one's easily like the one that's the most like, you know, even though it is just a low budget silly movie, it's definitely the one where they tried the hardest, I guess, with everything. What was the name of the woman that directed this one?
Amy Holden Jones.
Yeah. I don't know if I've seen anything else of hers. Is there anything else of hers that's significant? Do y'all
You've
know?
seen Beethoven, right? With the Saint Bernard.
Yeah, she produced that. I think. I don't
No,
know
I
if
think she
directed.
directed. Did I
She
get
did.
that wrong, or she didn't direct it?
She directed a bunch. She produced a bunch. She went on to bigger movies.
Indecent Proposal, I think, was another.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, because I'm trying to remember. I'm getting confused right now with Sorority House Massacre. Yeah, my bad. Because I remember watching interviews on this features. Uh, I know there was one I saw. One of these movies had an interview with Roger Corman on the Scream Factory release.
Yeah.
That probably that could have been Sorority House Massacre. Scream Factory put that out a few months ago too. But I mean, that's like a different kind of movie. Like with the, we'll get to that. But yeah, I do. I like. I was about to talk about. I got like a lot of the cinematography in the movie. Like
Yes.
it's definitely the one that has the best, for sure. And obviously, like the shower scene, that's like really hilariously done.
Totally agreed. I mean, shower scene aside, the
Yeah.
cinematography, totally agreed.
Yeah, I love the look of it. Like, I mean, every time I've seen it, it's been great. But watching in 4K too, especially, just I appreciated the photography even more. It's really, really beautifully shot for that kind of movie, for sure. Definitely has like what year is this again? It's like 1982, right? Or
82,
80.
yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
So that's really early. Like it still kind of has a little bit of that like late 70s vibe kind of in there, but I don't know, just the style of it. I like that. Really fun. Yeah.
Jess,
Yeah, they were setting the tone for the rest
Yeah,
of the.
I have
80s.
Indecent Proposal right here, and she wrote
She's
the
the writer.
screenplay.
Yeah,
She
she's
wrote
the
the
writer on
screenplay.
those movies I mentioned, which is still
Wow.
a pretty big deal. Yeah, she went on to write screenplays for those.
Nice.
$1 million, I feel like I'm okay with her. Hey, if I got a girlfriend, $1 million, you can fuck Robert Redford. That's
Oh
cool.
my gosh.
I'm cool with it. I'm putting it out there now. Yes.
And oh man, I'm sorry, I am getting them confused. I know in Evil Tunes, there's that weird creepy neighbor. Was there like a creepy neighbor in this movie? I'm trying to remember.
But
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I mean, I got like the whole like them being in the house kind of thing, and it's not as like intense with them frailing around in lingerie. They're more like in PJs in this one, if I remember.
Yeah. As we go deeper in the series, like clothes are just kind of more of a suggestion than anything. Like,
Yeah.
they're definitely not the rule. But
there is
a lot of
like
red herrings too.
There is
in these movies.
Yeah, it's I'm gonna probably mix these up so much, but I know there's got to be like a point of view shot at some point of like boys outside of their window in this movie for sure. I'm very sure I saw that, if I'm not mistaken.
You always get peepers
Yeah.
in these movies. That's kind of a given.
You're
Hey,
picturing the younger
my favorite
the younger lads peeking in the.
my favorite like peeping scene, of course, is from Sleepaway Camp 2, the Tit Patrol. That's definitely
Yes,
the
those two guys. Those guys are awesome.
Yeah, I love them. Hell yeah.
Well, with the lack of that, I mean, when I revisited them, like I said, I was excited. So I was totally into these in the late 2000s, around 2010 maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And I revisited most of these movies, or at least the first couple of each series.
Yeah.
And this ended up, I think, all in all, turned out to be my favorite. The Slumber Party Massacre. For it may not have the most out there wild stuff in it, as like you said, as we go on, but just as a film as a whole, the first one became, and that wasn't always the case, but we'll get to that.
What
What's
up,
up, Jay?
Jay?
Well, Jay.
Jay the Stingray.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because again, it's that gap in between. Because you're right, there are some remnants of that 70s style here, and it's kind of wedged in between. Because when you get to the sequels, this franchise just goes wild. Like
Yeah,
it
definitely.
knows what it is. And the next one is a step in that direction.
Well, anybody got
So-
anything else they want to add?
No,
See it if you haven't. The 4K looks amazing.
it
Oh,
does.
yeah, if
It
you're
really
here-
does look good.
If you're here and you haven't, though, I mean, period with this movie, if you're a horror fan. I don't think there's too much plot devices to give away.
No,
But
it's same thing every time. But
just go. Have fun with it. If you're
uh,
looking for more 80s slashers and you've ran out and didn't come across this one, which I'd be surprised.
There is more mystery, more red herrings as you go along in the franchise.
Yeah.
oh yeah, and not that every single one of these, I would say, even Cheerleader Massacre, all of them have excellent posters. I think this was definitely probably the best one for sure. Although no.
Sorry, I don't have those posters uploaded.
Oh man, I'm trying to think. No,
It's in his spank bank. He's got it up here.
no. This one is probably the most iconic, but I would say the next one is my favorite poster for sure.
Well, let's just get to it. Are you talking about this? Because we're going Slumber Party Massacre 2. I think I have that note as well. This is iconic.
First of all, I don't know if you guys have ever seen this before. I know there's somewhere, but in the Blu-ray, if you look at the still gallery, there's a lot of great alternative shots of this, which is
now you're right. I think the video cover was that. This is it though. I mean, like you said, it's maybe slightly different.
Yeah, there's like several photos from this photo shoot that they show in the still gallery, which is awesome. And if I remember correct, it's been a little bit, but I'm pretty sure like maybe one, maybe two of those girls are in this movie, and then I don't think some of them are actually, they're just for the poster. But yeah, I mean, okay, out of all of them, maybe this to me is my favorite for sure. Definitely of the Slumber Party movies, this is easily my favorite one. I love just the musical element added here. The music itself, I love. I would love to have this like on vinyl if they ever put it out. Great aesthetic with his guitar too. It's so cool.
I just looked it up. They're positioned different on the old VHS. It's very similar though to that poster.
Yeah.
Jess, can you pull that back up again?
Yeah.
So basically, what this is the 80s slasher version of the cover of a smut novel.
Oh hell yeah! There you go.
Fabio is
instead of Fabio, you've got Demon Elvis from the '68 comeback special.
But this was Drew. You said this was your favorite. This was my favorite as a kid.
Yeah.
And like I said, my mind changed when I revisited them as an adult. But this was definitely my favorite as a kid. It was, I'd say, one of the most fun.
Yeah. Like okay. Favorite movie for sure. One of the things that's a highlight of all these movies is going to be obviously the actresses. This one doesn't have my favorite of all the franchise, but the notable one for me is Juliette Cummings in this movie. She's probably like the most like recognizable one for me, and just all the stuff I've personally seen. So it's great to see her. I'm trying to think. What has that actor that plays the killer been in any other movies?
He didn't have like a big career or anything, but Atanas Illich, who does play the rockabilly driller killer in this, one of the more memorable characters. You can feel like at this point 87, so it's horror movies changed quite a bit between 82 and 87. You can feel that Freddy Krueger one-liner style. A lot of people just went off to the races with that, but still kind of managing to be his own weird thing It's a very iconic B movie killer, and the music number, I can't remember the names of the songs or anything, but
Let's
the
Buzz.
Let's Buzz, yeah. Yeah, it's like, what the fuck am I watching? And I
Yeah.
grew up on the Wings sitcom, so it was which I believe maybe Crystal Bernard did the following year. I'd say what she's most known for. Great final girl. I mean, we're kind of at that point here where they haven't gone like crazy with the skin yet. So this is still, relatively tame on that front compared to what we're soon to get in the Wynorski run. But it's funny. The exploding pimple gag, that was straight out
Oh
of
yeah.
straight out of Nightmare on Elm Street. And just the guitar drill. I mean, that was really cool. It's one of the best of the Nightmare on Elm Street knockoffs, and I do think it had a really strong final girl with Crystal.
That's so funny thinking about that, Dan, because Julia Cummings is in another really good Nightmare on Elm Street ripoff, Deadly Dreams.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's really funny to think about. Yeah, which is
Yeah.
great. But yeah, I love the music, like I said, and there was something I was going to say, but I don't want to let it stall. Like, if you guys have something to say, I'll see if I remember it.
I've honestly, you guys I've said it, and then you guys have already said.
I've
What about you,
got
Kory?
I've got about 2 or 3 things I want to say. One, okay, so Jess, you said this was your favorite one.
As a kid,
Drew?
but my mind
Oh.
changed later. The first
okay.
one is now my
Okay.
favorite.
Drew, you said this was your favorite one. This one drove me
Yeah.
nuts for years, and I'm going to tell you why. So initially, I seen all of these movies, like I said, on watching USA Up All Night. But the first time I ever saw any part of this movie was actually during a sleepover at my cousin's house. I had older female cousins, and they were having a big sleepover. So my male cousins invited me and my brother over, and we were staying with them. And I happened to wake up like 2, 3 in the morning, and this movie was on, but I didn't know what it was, and I was supposed to be asleep, so I couldn't ask. So for years, I didn't know what this movie was, and nobody could tell me. So,
Wow.
second thing, this movie, the killer in this movie, inspired a tattoo I wanted to get of the Grim Reaper with a guitar, and instead of a drill bit, I wanted a sickle blade.
Nice.
Never got that. Third thing, Andrew, would you pay money to see the killer from this movie and Sammy Kerr on tour?
Oh my God, yes. No, I know what I was going to say now. I was going to say, I wish this guy would do conventions. I would love to meet him.
I think he's one of those guys like the star of Luther the Geek that people have requested over the years, and it's just kind of a question mark. I know he was sick. I think he battled cancer in like the 90s, but I think, I mean, he okay, I assume. Just I don't know that I've heard anything from him.
There's no interviews with him or anything on the Blu-ray, I believe. Yeah.
Some people just kind of, when they're done with Hollywood, they just kind of disappear. And yeah, no, I agree. I think he'd do well. I remember years ago at Chiller Theater convention, there was a cosplayer that was just awesome. That would go around. I mean, this has its fans. This is a very interesting movie.
Also, who would have to be there is John Micklethor from Rock and Roll Nightmare.
Rocket, yeah. Well, he has done signings, I believe.
That would be sick.
Yeah, no, that it's actually a good double with Rock and Roll Nightmare. Yeah, this is. I mean, again, this just does its own thing. There's some cool kills. I think the drill through the front seat of the car is a nice one that they use more than once.
One of the things I love too is I think it's specifically during like the musical sections, but I really love the soft kind of like focus on some of that stuff, or just something about the lighting, with like the reds and the purple or whatever. I love that. That's like just really great aesthetic in this movie.
It is. It's very great. The cast. I know it's going to be too goofy for some people, but I do think that you've got some great actors in here. Jennifer Rhodes, who we didn't talk about, the great Jennifer Rhodes is the mom, and you mentioned Juliette Cummings, Cindy Eilbacher, and I was also going to say, like, back to Nightmare on Elm Street, the chicken that attacks her at one point. This movie is just absolutely wild. If you're a fan of just batshit B movies, it's kind of a must see. Yeah, I recommend it. I know this is a weird one because there's some people that don't care for the other movies and just absolutely love this. It's kind of standalone. Once again, female director Deborah Brock, which is interesting. But this is as far as the skin goes, this is not a lot of that in comparison. It's there. We get our pillow fight, but
yeah, they got staples for sure.
Yeah. But the music bit, all of that was just.
I even love like the whole vibe of the whatever it is, like the chase scene and that kind of whatever that is. I don't know what the word is for it right now, but like they're building something in a field, like construction, whatever. I like that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I would have liked to have seen Crystal Bernard do more horror stuff, but yeah. She's another person that kind of disappeared from acting in the last 10 or 15 years. Just kind of quit, and that was that.
Yeah.
All right. So, Jess, you got anything else you want to add?
No, I mean, you guys covered it as far as
Well, we're gonna get spicy now, Jess Graham, because
I know, and this is where as the slumber parties go, this is where I kind of fall off a little bit on, but we'll just, I guess, Kory,
right.
are we ready?
Yeah.
Okay. This isn't a good copy of the poster, but this poster's all right. It's cool. Obviously, that goes to show you what Dan was talking about earlier with the drill bit, and the penis.
I still don't get it. I don't see it.
Kory doesn't see it.
I don't see it.
Over his head. Definitely not as iconic of a poster though, as cool as this is, as the other two.
If the other two didn't exist and this was like the one poster of this franchise, I think it would still be iconic. The other ones are just so much better.
Yeah, good way to put it.
But obviously, you guys know I do photography. Like, I wish I could take photos like that. Like, I admire, like, just realistically, I love those kind of photo shoots, like those really cartoony like expressions from these girls and stuff, and I love them so much.
Just pull that back up again.
They're just so much fun. Well,
Yeah.
did I get something wrong? Is there a
No. But Hollywood, can we please get more goofy fucking taglines like this? It's driller time, and this bit's for you. Come on.
I know.
And like
more shit like that.
Going back to the posters like this, fun posters. They're just
that one. There's one I love that is not related to these movies, but I'm just thinking about it right now. I think that movie is called Ghoul School, and I know that what's her name? She's in one of the Sorority House Massacre movies. What's her name, Dan? She's in Samurai Cop also. It's the blonde girl, tall.
Oh, that describes a lot of people.
It starts with an M. I know, right? But she's exceptionally tall.
Andrew, you're dating. You're describing a girl I dated in high school.
Well, as far as starting with
Melissa Moore.
Melissa Moore, okay, because I knew Maria Ford didn't do those movies. We got a couple M's.
But she's in this movie.
Maria Ford is in this movie,
Yeah.
yes. And I'm a big Maria Ford guy.
I'll watch anything with Maria Ford. Anything.
There's a lot. Well, Maria Ford at this point is the New Concord / New Horizons It Girl. I want to say she did probably close to 30 movies for Corman. Angel of Destruction, Alien Terminator, Strip to Kill, Strip Teaser. I mean, she was in so many movies and so many really good, fun B movies.
Yeah.
At this time, I think she was probably a handful of movies in at this point from the late 80s into the early 2000s for him. She's really good. She kind of provides some of the skin in this one. I think they kind of up the gore a little bit as well in this movie.
I can't remember if this is a thing, Dan, because I know that on the Blu-ray there's an extended version. I don't remember if that has more gore. I know it definitely has more dialogue for sure.
Yeah, I think there's an alternate cut of this out there. If I recall,
I do like the music in the beginning because the girls in this movie are a band, and I do like their song. I love that in the early part of this movie. I love the fucking volleyball match too. That's always fun. It's good stuff.
Yeah, Death by Vibrator was a pretty fun kill in this one. There's still some stuff to harp on if you really want to. The chainsaw to the legs, and I'm thinking why didn't you just finish him, cut the legs off? Some odd moments like that, but at this point, this movie, you kind of go more into a whodunit sort of scenario. There's red herrings. You mentioned conventions, which I always thought it was odd when it came to these movies. Jan Birch, who plays, he's just credited as the weirdo, the guy who's watching them play volleyball.
That guy.
Kind of an obvious red herring. Doesn't really have a whole lot to do in this, but look kind of creepy. And he does the convention rounds all the time.
I would definitely be down to meet him for sure.
Yeah, he's a nice guy. I've met him. Again, doesn't have a whole lot to do, but yeah, Chris, the third act is crazy. I was going to say this is a very energetic, action-packed sort of slasher comedy, and I like it quite a bit. It's hard to rank these movies because they're up to this point they're all a little bit different from one another. I will say, in the entire franchise, there's one movie I'm not that fond of, which when we get to it, I'll let you know. You might be able to guess. I think I've said it on our channel before, but yeah, no, this one's just a lot of fun, and it does change tone a little bit at this point.
I think that's what maybe turned me off slightly of it. I was expecting a different, the tone like the first two.
It's 1990 at this point.
And it honestly, it looks like an early 90s straight to video movie, which is pretty amazing since it was just 1990 when it was released.
Yeah. It depends what you like. I mean, some people hate movies of this era. A lot of us that kind of grew up on it really enjoy them quite a bit. I think there's a lot of memorable characters in this one. I absolutely love Maria Ford. She should be more of a name, but she's another one. She kind of had a brief comeback. She stopped for a while. She did Wedding Slashers, was one of her comeback movies, and then she just kind of stopped altogether. But I don't think she gets as much respect as she deserves as a cult starlet / scream queen. And
oh yeah, no, she deserves it all for sure.
Really everything though. She was an action star. She did all kinds of genres, and if you're unfamiliar with Maria Ford, go down her filmography and try and watch some of her movies, because a lot of them. Angel of Destruction is just glorious.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, I enjoy this one quite a bit. A lot of weird, awkward characters. Just a fun vibe without getting totally ridiculous, which we will get there because we definitely sort of enter an alternative. I'm seeing the tits in my head. Alternative reality that I like to call the Wynorski verse.
You
Go
put it
on.
really good there, Dan. Like that's a good way to put it. Like they're being like awkward like characters, right? Like because you get like a lot of different kind of stuff with these kind of movies. Like some of the really bad ones, the characters might seem kind of alien, you know, like in Samurai Cop or something.
Yeah.
But I think this is my favorite kind of bad action is the awkward stuff. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I always, one thing I was watching this is when one character is getting killed and the character's blinded, but the girls aren't helping her. I was like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, go shove him or something and drag her away. I mean, he's blinded. What are you gonna do? But yeah, these movies might they're silly, but they're a lot of fun. And it's always interesting. Anybody listening to this show, put your rankings in the chat. I'm always curious because
good idea.
I hear all kinds of different answers from people that liked, honestly, all but maybe two out of here that I don't usually hear as somebody's favorite, but I'm curious to see. I'm curious to see your rankings, so drop them in the chat.
This would definitely be my least favorite Slumber Party Massacre movie, but I do still really enjoy it and hold it very high.
I think it depends on my mood when you ask me. They're very hard movies to rank. Like, it just, all three of these are a little bit different, and I think that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, definitely.
I'd say for now it's 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
For me, this one, the third one's just the least memorable for me. I don't know if it just hit at a different time. I don't have a lot to say about it. I've seen it a few times. It's just not the one I go to when I think of these movies.
Yeah, mine would be 213.
213. Okay.
I think I'd have to agree with Jess.
Mm-hmm. If anybody asks me like which one's the best made, I mean, yeah, obviously the original. But
Slasher and Steel have similar tastes.
There you go.
But you're with us. You'd say the original.
The original's the best made. I mean,
it's the
there's
best
no
made.
doubt.
It's the story. Brent Stevens, as you said earlier.
Yeah, I think the first one. I think the first one deserves like to just be kind of next to a lot of classic, like low budget slashers of that era for sure. I think it's worthy of that kind of respect for sure.
It's the one that I would recommend just for a fan of a good slasher. After that, I'd have to know a little bit about you before I recommend the others.
Well, final thoughts on 3 or the?
It's a fucking blast. Go watch it. I mean, hopefully it'll get a proper Blu-ray at some point. More people can revisit it.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. Like, I kind of thought when that 4K came out, it might help with the prices on it, but it didn't. It's just still a lot to get that double feature because that's the only way you can get it.
Unfortunately, I mean it, and you're right. It is on Blu-ray, but its own sort of.
But I mean, it needs a re-release. It needs a re-release.
Yeah, like give us a Maria Ford interview. I mean, there's people you can grab from this movie.
I really wish there would be like one of these labels would just do that, just release Maria Ford's movies.
Yeah, and if you're looking for it, this is the double with that. But
yeah.
Oh, sorry. And there is the uncut version on here too, which is the one to watch.
Well, I guess that brings us to this.
Sweet.
The poster's kind of intriguing. I honestly didn't even know this existed till I was going back and doing a little research for the show, and it looks like it's a sci-fi TV movie or something.
Yep. I did not revisit this, but I watched it. It's been a year or two, and going in, I knew that we weren't going to get a proper Slumber Party Massacre remake. I knew that we weren't going to get the skin, and going into it, I really thought, "No, this is kind of pointless."
Isn't this? It's not even really a remake. It's kind of like they'd been doing, because this is 2021. It said.
It's
Hey,
kind
Griffin.
of a reimagining that kind of ties into it. Hey, what up, Griffin?
It says what I could say. It was like a standalone or a sequel to the first film, like they often tried to do this last 5 years.
And I'm gonna be honest, it's not terrible if you can forgive that there's no nudity.
No, I can't.
I get that.
I think I think it's a huge part of these films now. I mean, that made what they were at the time for the time.
Mm-hmm.
And to not have that, or even a nod to it, a proper nod to it. I mean, it doesn't have to be, maybe as smutty as they were back in the day, or just as, throughout it, but a proper nod to them. If you're going to do this movie at all, a sequel, a remake, whatever, it's stupid not to.
It's like doing a Nightmare on Elm Street movie and Freddy not having his glove. It's just
exactly, yeah.
I thought you were gonna say without Freddy saying bitch, and I was like, that's exactly right.
Now, that too. It really is.
It's like watching Flesh Wound Features and Dan not wearing his hat. I mean, you just
doesn't make sense. We'd have to censor that.
No desire here.
Also directed by a woman, so it's kind of interesting that they kept that up.
Mm-hmm.
The director, actually, we just reviewed a new movie she did called Killer Body Count, which also not fantastic, but also fairly entertaining. It's just you have to accept that it's not you're not going to get the female nudity. Oddly enough, in that movie, she had the women kind of acting like dudes would in an 80s movie, and you have to kind of almost accept that. It's far down the list. I've never revisited this movie. I don't really feel the need to, but it's not awful for a Sci-Fi Channel slasher. It's not terrible. It's just
let me say, Dan, I didn't watch this one. I feel like I'd be open to giving it a shot, but initially, if it was somebody who had told me, or if I just looked into it, I knew there wasn't going to be that element of nudity and stuff, and that kind of just turned me off. But is there at least good kills in the movie? Does it have that going?
It had some good kills. Again, I get it. Some people can't overlook it. I'm a big fan of this franchise, and I thought I was going to fucking hate this. The Terror Train remake, I
forgot about that.
Those were fucking ass, and I think this might have been after that, or it might have been before. I don't know, but I guess low expectations just going in, and I was like, oh, okay, well. It entertained me well enough. It kind of falls apart a little more towards the end, but the killer in this, there's some nods to the original films. It's worth watching. It's worth watching.
Check it out at some point for sure. I know, it was disappointing when that Blu-ray came out. I can't believe they didn't use the poster, the one that Jess pulled up. That poster is actually kind of cool.
I thought the poster, as an homage to the old ones, looked pretty cool.
I love the photography of that poster a lot. It's really cool.
So hold on, because the drill is up by his shoulder, it's no longer supposed to be his penis.
Exactly right. They just completely dropped the ball on that.
I shouldn't have
remember
between his legs.
I remember the opening to this one being pretty cool. Again, I did not have time to rewatch this one, but it has its strengths, and you would think I'd be inclined to shit on it for not delivering what you would expect out of these movies, but they're all a little different anyways, so I don't think it kills a franchise.
I've never seen this one. never
Sorry, go
seen
ahead.
this one, but I did see that it was out at Walmart shortly after, like, what was it? It debuted or aired on Sci-Fi.
Yeah.
So,
And Hi Zombie.
Hi Zombie. Actually, I was gonna try and get everybody to say Hi Zombie at the same time, but
We were in deep in this conversation. Final thoughts on that 2021 Slumber Party Massacre.
There's
My
worse
final thought-
remakes out there. I mean,
There's also much better, I'm sure. I haven't seen it to truly judge, but I don't even
There's-
know if I want to give it my time.
yeah.
I'm willing to give it a watch. So
If we
Yeah,
do it as a group or
Otherwise.
something, that could be fun. But
that'd be cool. I just think I don't know that you could even really make movies like that anymore. Anyways, I don't know that it would even happen. Like I know Dan was saying when I first came on about
Gator
like some of those,
Blade.
like they like I think I'm a little behind on watching their movies. Like I was going down that trail, but I didn't get to continue. I know I watched Death Escort Service. I was like, okay, cool. Like this still exists in some fashion, you know.
Oh yeah, those go very far. There's like full on borderline porn in those movies.
I'm trying to. I know I watched one of them. It must have been Death Escort Service because I think it was Death Escort Service where it was like just two scenes. The whole movie is like a sex scene followed by like a horror scene, and it was like back and forth the whole time. It was really funny. But
Yeah. A lot of
No,
people's goth girlfriends that got conned into being in the movie.
right, yeah, yep.
Bob Dole. Wow.
I'm
We got
lost.
a Ronald Reagan slasher. I feel like we need a Bob Dole slasher. We had the Tripper, which is a Ronald Reagan serial killer. We need Bob Dole killing people.
Dole.
That's all he says is just Dole. As he's killing him.
Now let's. Shall we move on to the other half? Or
Yeah,
the second franchise tonight.
the better
Absolutely.
franchise.
The better
I
franchise, I would agree
disagree.
for sure.
Disagree. This is where we may really start rumbling.
The better
on it.
franchise, and I will explain why. On part
And I'll
two.
explain why. What's better about it, but it's not the better franchise, and that's Sorority House Massacre. In this
First of all,
1986.
I like this poster. This poster here is more
Great.
iconic than the other one.
That's
I
a
will
great
say
poster.
this: in the video store, the box, I remember this one even more than the others.
It's a great poster, yeah.
And I think, this was more important in my youth.
I might actually like this better than I like Puppet Master Access Rising.
Oh, wow. Slumber Party Massacre 1, again, was a better overall movie. Is the better movie.
Yeah, I
This
agree with that
Sorority
for
House.
sure.
I mean, I think I like this one. I rented more for the naughty parts
Damn straight.
back when I
zombie.
was in the lad, because it had, I guess more shots, if I recall right. And Slumber Party for more the horror factor, or the better overall plot line than this one. But this is good. This first movie is great too. It ranks up there with the best.
Ooh, this is probably my least favorite
Of both of the franchises, or of the Sorority House movie?
of the whole. I counted them all together.
Wow.
I would agree with that too, Dan, for sure. I do like this movie, but it would also be my least favorite.
It's one that, like, if every time I revisit it, I'm like, that was a lot weaker than I remembered. And it plays it very, very straight. And I think that's part of the issue. This one's kind of a slog, if I'm being honest. I mean, it's competently made, competently acted. There's a little skin and everything, but I always thought the pacing for this one was always a little bit off. And I mean, we forget this was made in '86, so this is coming before a lot of the sequels.
I think any of the sequels.
Yeah, it is basically the first. That's where it gets confusing, because it's the first spin-off, although it's not as much of a spin-off at this point.
Because it's its own thing.
Yeah, it's not as connected. It's its own thing. And it's just very middle of the road. Very,
Uh,
very middle of the road. And yeah, this one's my least favorite. I just
I disagree. And maybe it's the nostalgia for me. I
I
mean
get that.
that box
Yeah.
covered. I think I might be mixing up what had more of the scenes that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
the interesting
That
thing here.
box made me think it had more, and when I rented it, it's
Interesting thing. Okay, so I do like the lead in this movie. I think she's really pretty, but I was just looking at her like, so she's like, she works on a bunch of movies. She worked on Barbie and The Flash and stuff, like doing like just work on the movies. Something that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, there's some names that got started in these films. It's just this one kind of goes more like, let's just rip off Halloween, and
Yeah,
they don't do a particularly great job of it. It's just for me, like I said, I think all of these movies, they may not be your cup of tea, but they're put together really well. They're paced really well. That you're either getting hit with a gag or you're getting hit with a cheap, fun gore bit or lots of nudity, as we're getting to. This was just like a very generic ripoff. If it only existed as its own thing and had no connection to this franchise, I don't think it would be remembered very much at all.
I definitely prefer Offerings if we're talking Halloween ripoffs for sure.
Exactly. And if you threw that into this franchise randomly, that movie would probably be a lot better known. But yeah, it's not awful. I don't have any particular love for this one. Yeah. So sorry, Jess.
The
Shitting
chicks
on your
were hotter in
childhood.
this one.
again I mean that might be a lot of it. And again,
We're
going
getting
back to the boyhood. Because
because
as we
I
go
would
along
say-
with these movies, I must have grown out of them in my horror taste.
Yeah.
One of the things in this movie, if I'm remembering right, I would say this one has the girls in like the least attractive like clothing. Like they have like really weird like 50s like outfits or something similar to that. It's really
Well,
silly.
it was the mid '80s. I mean, huge shoulder pads for chicks.
Yeah.
Was,
Yeah.
that was in. I mean,
Modesty.
the chick.
Yeah, this
I'm
This
thinking like
one-
the polar opposite of that, like in like Killer Workout, where they're all in like these like really like neon like workout outfits, completely different.
this
Maybe-
one,
Hold
like, oh, sorry.
No, he needs one of the t-shirts.
Oh,
I need a new commercial.
that's okay.
Rossum Creations, or
That's
if you don't want to purchase or anything, maybe we'll have another contest for the viewers down the road. Or
Hey,
giveaway.
we're only eight subs away from 200, so maybe we'll do another giveaway.
Let's make that happen. You're long overdue for
giveaway.
absolutely.
for two. Well, to clear.
And
200.
Drew, if you want a shirt, come the next trivia show, the group trivia show, you should jump on and see if you could win one, because every winner of the group trivia has been sent a shirt so far.
I would love to do that. That sounds
Prizes may
awesome.
change.
Awesome. Hell yeah.
But yeah, I mean, just to
sorry,
kind of
go on.
close this movie out, I probably watched this a couple years ago for a show we did, or sometime in the last few years. I've seen it a handful of times over the years, and I still struggle to remember it because there's nothing that it does well. Like, there's a little bit of skin, nothing memorable. I mean, again, girls look great, but it almost just felt like it took itself way too seriously. There's no highlight kills, or nothing stands out about this movie, and for that reason, it is my least favorite, and I'm counting it all.
Yeah. I feel you.
Yeah.
I think it comes after Slumber Party 1 and 2, and then Sorority House would be number 3 for me.
Oh, okay. Different rankings. It's interesting.
Well, it's a rumble.
There you go. Well, this is the Bushwhacker Luke of the franchise to me. Should be thrown out immediately.
Well, how do they do that? I don't know wrestling. I'll just exit. Any other final thoughts before we continue on with?
Let's get to the best one.
Oh, there is an opinion on that, huh?
I think he's 100% correct.
Definitely not the best poster.
Maybe not the best poster, but
I'm seeing everything I need to see right here.
It was
Well, almost everything.
let's look at the tagline. It's cleavage versus cleavers. And the result is Delta Delta Deadly. I love that.
Come on,
So good.
more of this shit.
This is 1990 again, right? And I think it's not as memorable as the other ones we just talked about.
Okay,
you are crazy.
I know like Slumber Party Massacre 3 is a far cry from what this one delivers on, but this is like probably my favorite era of these kind of movies, is the very early 90s. Like it's perfect. Like I'm struggling to think of all the examples right now. Evil Toons is definitely one of them. But this like era of like straight to videos sleaze is fucking perfect. And this is such a great example. First of all, top 3 or top 5, I have to think about it hard. Top 3 like scream queens. Gail Thackeray in this movie. Oh my god, she's incredible.
Yeah, is under the Robin Harris name, if anybody's confused.
Yeah, exactly. Robin Harris in this one. Also, Melissa Moore's in this movie too, which is amazing as always.
It has a great cast.
Jess, I need you to put that poster back up.
Okay. Now, I could probably say that this is better than Slumber Party 3, or about maybe similar in my ranking, but that's about as good as it gets for me.
Is it just me, or the blonde chick on the bottom there? She looks like she's disgusted, like she just got asked to do something that she wouldn't normally do.
Absolutely.
Wynorski just flashed his dick to get that reaction.
Okay. I might be mixing it up here with the next one, Dan, but the name of the killer, or the not the killer, the red herring. What do they call him? Because they give him 2 different names in both these movies.
Orville Ketchum.
Yes.
Which I believe is his same name in the next one. But I did want to shout him out. The actor's name is Peter Spellos, and he was a regular for both Fred Olin, Ray, and Jim Wynorski. If you don't know the name, you know the face. I think he passed away in 2023, so just relatively recently. And just shout out for a great character actor. Comedy, like he was really funny, could be intimidating, could play anything. And you may not know the name, but he certainly gave us a lot.
See, in this one, if I'm not mistaken, they call because they also call him Hochstetter or something like that.
Yeah.
I get it confused, but obviously, again, so this is obviously prime era Jim Wynorski. I mean, what did you say? This was 1980?
1990.
1990, sorry. So, okay, a couple years earlier was Chopping Mall. But, I mean, just there's so many perfect-looking women in this movie for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
None more perfect than Miss Gail Harris.
Oh, God, yeah. She's amazing. There's no, like, I've
never been more turned on by a chick covered in fake blood in my life.
Yeah, I would say, like, I know I mentioned this one time on a stream we did before, but it seems like that made me think, like, oh wow, do I like that? Do I like women covered in blood? Because I do hear it. The specific thing, like, yeah, she looks great. She's amazing, and she's oh god, I could just go on. She's perfect.
Gay for Fahey shirts. I got to make it happen myself. I just don't know how to design shirts. But at some point, if I can figure out how the hell to do it, I'll open my own t-shirt shop for you, Cliff. I got a million ideas. But this movie is just hilarious. We're entering the Wynorski verse, and it's beautiful. This is a place where women just hang out naked. Like, for no reason. It's in the Wynorski verse that happens. Straight women that just hang around naked.
God
It has
bless
my
him.
God
Yeah.
bless them indeed. It has my favorite line. No one puts a finger in my diviner is probably my favorite line of the whole franchise.
I like the score of this movie too. It's got that theme that dun 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 dun. I love that.
Oh, absolutely. And Orville, the character of Orville.
I'm gazy for Faye. Faye was a good looking bloke. No homo.
Classic clip. I just think like poor Orville is put through hell in this movie. And again, he should be more of a cult film staple. I know people love these movies, but goddamn, that Orville character just gets fucked up. And
He does. Oh my god, he does.
He get his ass kicked by like all the fucking chicks, and then
he's abused. The most misunderstood character in the history of horror films, I feel like. And I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but I'm not sure if it's still active, but that Hochstatter website is a great fan website that has all sorts of cool shit. I would imagine it still is because it's a big part of the special features. But at this point, like, we're essentially talking horror comedy. Like, there's nothing to take serious at this point. Justice for Orville, indeed, dude. Like, he's such a nice dude, and he just gets screwed. I also wanted to shout out the late adult film actress Savannah, who appears in this movie. She passed away in 1994, I believe. But she was another one of the spectacularly beautiful women who plays Satana, the stripper in this.
And so in this one, this is the one where they tell the story where they use flashback scenes from Slumber Party Massacre 1, correct?
Yeah. It's a sequel. I mean, it gets a little bit confusing because I think they change the name of the killer from the first one, so it's all it's like it's a direct sequel, but they're changing the name, so it's all kind of murky. But
I don't like that.
Yeah. I don't know why. Really, just like you could use the same name. There's no real reason not to. But,
yeah.
Or even just keep it its own thing. I mean, it was Sorority House Massacre 2.
Yeah, sometimes I almost, when I go back and revisit these, I forget that it sort of directly ties in, and that gets even more confusing.
And then it confuses you, especially when you're young.
Well,
you're like,
Corman liked to recycle footage, like Battle Beyond the Stars, like that space footage has appeared in about 10,000 movies. The pig barbarians from Deathstalker appeared in at least a dozen other Corman movies.
I know there's a couple of movies that use Carnosaur footage for sure.
Yeah, Raptor is totally made up of footage from previous Carnosaur movies.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Chris Hochstetter was the killer in Sorority House Massacre 2. They just used the same footage from Slumber Party Massacre.
But he had a different name in Slumber Party Massacre, right?
Russ Thorne.
Russ Thorne, which is a way cooler name, but Hochstetter is still a cool name. They're both really cool names.
Yeah, it gets a little bit confusing, but at this point, like I said, there's naked girls. There's lots of fun to be had. Just roll with it.
Yeah, and it has to be said, exceptional naked girls. Like, this is high quality.
Yes. This will appeal to everybody, and they're all good. They're all good. Like I said, Peter Spellows should be a better known name.
All right.
So mob for part 4 with. Oh,
I think they're talking video games, Jess.
Okay, I missed that. Sorry, guys.
Oh yeah, completely lost on me.
Yeah. So go on, Kory.
I was just gonna say, I think we might start this whole Justice for Orville thing.
Yes.
Or Mr. Ketchum.
That'd be a good shirt for sure.
Yes.
We get extra weird at this point. With sorry, Jess, I didn't know if you were putting the poster up. I didn't want to go right into
Are we on
it.
to 3? Well,
Yeah, we can go ahead and go on to 3.
Hard to Die, or AKA Sorority House Massacre 3, Hard to Die. Which,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know if I might like this one more.
really,
Okay, so
I
first
honestly
of all,
don't know if I've even seen it or saw it to
like there's
compare it to part of this franchise, because
like some of the things I'm thinking of immediately that I like about it. First of all, I like the setting. Okay, if I've ever seen this movie, it was a long time ago and I don't remember it. And I know that's going to be crazy to say, but I'm pretty sure this movie is supposed to be ripping off elements of Die Hard, if I'm not
it's
mistaken.
a
Is that
Die
right?
Hard parody from what I could tell.
Right,
Yeah.
because they're in a big building like that building in Die Hard.
And it's 1990, which is so it's just later in the year than the second movie. So I don't know if it was once it was released, if they were really trying to connect it with those movies, because it.
Well, it's got the same cast from part 2.
Yeah, like
Okay, just
if
playing
I
different.
remember right, like it's just an alternate part 2, like whatever, however you want to describe it. It's just
So what happened at this initially, Jim Wynorski was told by Roger Corman, okay, just go ahead and remake Sorority House Massacre 2. And same story, same cast. Again, this movie came out the same year, so
I would think, if anything, Dan, like the idea behind that could have just been, okay, you can make this movie again, but we can market it towards like people who like action movies.
Well, I think that's the thing. So you have Die Hard that just came out, and they had sets that they could still use from another movie called Corporate Affairs, a comedy, and that's where they shot this. So, in typical Corman fashion, it was just like, let's get something else out. So you get this weird hybrid of a Slumber Parties, Sorority House Massacre kind of movie. But you also kind of got a Die Hard ripoff at the same time. They had a lot of issues with this movie because they were like, okay, we're in a high rise. How do we get these girls naked?
Yeah,
and it's like, boom, lingerie shop. They'll want to try on the lingerie.
That's like that's probably the best part of this movie is just, oh, so I'll just take a shower like one at a time. Like wow.
And that's like half the movie's running time.
Oh,
They are always naked in this movie or in thongs. Yeah, exactly. This is like the Anna Nicole era where she had her Die Hard ripoffs and she found a way to get naked even with the terrorists and all that shit with Skyscraper. And yeah, this one is just we're totally batshit at this point. Nothing makes a whole lot of sense.
Yeah.
But we got Orville back getting horribly abused once again. He's like Fat Terminator. That is
Yeah.
Orville. He's Fat Terminator. He can get thrown off a fucking building. He can get shot at close range with the machine gun, and yet somehow he keeps coming back. He's unstoppable. And it is much of the same cast, but I will say Scream Queen Deborah Dutch is added as Jackie. She's great in this. This did have like a very limited, I'm assuming, theatrical release in '92 under the title Tower of Terror. And for reasons I got to imagine only due to tits, it apparently had an NC at 17 rating at one point, but yeah, man, like this whole thing is just so bizarre. You've got like just the girls that are taking turns showering for no reason at their work in this building and trying on lingerie, and in the middle of it we get this crazy supernatural Die Hard, what the fuck am I watching kind of thing. Jim Wynorski himself pops up as a porn director, which is hilarious to me. And
I love when he has like, he should have cameos in all his movies because he's really great. He's very charismatic, and I love that.
Yeah, he's he's hilarious. And he managed to rope Kelly Maroney into coming in and playing a porn star for 2 seconds, which is hilarious. But most of this movie, it's like half shower scenes and then half let's get these girls to run up the steps so we can get a shot of their ass. That's like half the movie.
Because I know Monique Gabrielle has a cameo in this movie. Is she the pizza girl? Is that who she is?
She might have been. Yeah, that was in her pajamas for some reason. Like that's another. When we get this full body burn stunt.
Oh yeah, that's right.
This movie is just so silly. Like, if you want to laugh, if you're having a bad day, I highly recommend Hard to Die. It's bad movie gold.
Are they even sorority girls, or are they just girls in a building?
They work at this lingerie store. If I remember right, like the basic plot is maybe they're doing inventory or something like that. I think.
I just watched it and I don't even remember why they're even really in this building. But yeah, you have like the boss that's banging his secretary, and beyond that, it's like, yeah, Orville's back. He's playing himself again. He doesn't want to talk about the incident that would have just happened. They have direct, like even Orville getting thrown off the building. Direct from Die Hard. We didn't get the slow motion fall though, which was kind of shitty. I would have liked to have seen that, but Chris, the stripper, was she supposed to be the sister from the first one? I think so, but I'm gonna really say at this point it doesn't matter.
Well, you were saying that the actors come back from the last one. Is it kind of like they did with Return of the Living Dead 1 and 2, and other movies have done it? They bring back actors from
a lot of the same characters. Cast.
Mm-hmm.
Corman was notorious. I mean, you can go decades before this, and it's like we got a location. Let's hammer out another movie. You know, Die Hard's popular. Let's do Die Hard and lump it in with these Massacre movies. Go.
And a shout out to the late Roger Corman, who I think, I don't know if you mentioned recently, passed away in our last.
I mean, like
couple weeks.
This is just like the tip of the iceberg for like how much I love the movies that have his name attached to them. I know we mentioned Carnosaur earlier. I mean, I know this is all New Concord, New Horizon. It's all that kind of connection, and there's just like I can just looking at my shelf right now, just beside me. There's just so much like Humanoids from the Deep, and obviously Galaxy of Terror, and I love just all that stuff he produced and stuff. It's just like up there with like my favorite kind of movies to watch. I love them so. But it's cool. Like he lived for a long time. You know, I mean, that's really great. You know that he had.
That's a blessing.
98 years old and still actively trying to produce and get movies made.
We could all only be so lucky when it comes to living that long and being that with it.
And let me out here real quick. Who was the guy who did the softcore porn shit with Buff Bagwell?
Andy Sedaris.
Yeah.
Oh, I love
Why didn't he ever do any of these movies? This seems like it'd be right up his alley.
Oh, he would kill it, yeah.
Oh, I mean, yeah, for sure. He just kind of had his rhythm with those movies. He just kept knocking them out himself.
There's no remote control helicopters in these.
Oh, I know.
I mean,
man,
no.
I don't know if we ever had talked about that, Dan. I feel like we did, but that would be such a great thing to go down one of these days. It's just those Malibu films.
We did them all on our channel a while ago. If you hunt those episodes down.
Awesome. Jess, if you ever want to see those, just let me know.
That'd be a good one for sure. You can get the pack of all of them for like $10-$20 or at the most, right, Dan?
Yeah,
the guns, G-strings, and something collection. Girls, guns, and G-strings.
They're very easy to come by. The Blu-rays are cheap too. Honestly, the Andy Sedaris is a legend. Hard Ticket to Hawaii is the shit, Cliff.
Cliff? Oops. Yeah. I'm just letting I keep doing that. Kory's running it.
No,
Yeah.
I just think it'd be great to see him do one of these movies. So.
He definitely, you would get a lot of the same cast in this movie. Okay, you're the villain in this movie. You're the hero. You're your brother and sister in this. Your husband and wife in that. He used the same troupe of actors, and it was different from movie to movie. And a couple of them were kind of connected, but you just have to go with that too.
Well,
but perfect B movie. Hard to Die is just a ton of fun. So watch it.
again, it's hard for me to rank it. I may have seen it. I may have not. I don't remember it. So it's down there for me. Again, I think I was coming out of this phase of these types of. I know that's weird saying as a big slasher fan, but these types of slashers, I was kind of just done with the Slumber, Sorority House. It always irritated me when things started getting confusing in franchises, or I couldn't piece together, even in my own crazy head, my own connection to them.
This around the time you met Andy Dick?
No, that was another 14 years later.
There might be a lot you
just
don't
checking,
remember there.
Let's make it clear. I'm not like, a big fan of it. We're not friends.
My favorite memory of him is in Road Trip when he works at that hotel or whatever, the motel.
Would you like some fresh towels? Maybe you can roll them up and smoke it. Yeah. Wasn't that the one?
Are you guys aware that there is a film, at least as far as the info that I can find, that was shot and not released? It was completed. It was
Sorority Massacre 4, right? Sorority House Massacre.
I just learned this last night from Dan.
Yeah, it wrapped in 2002, and it was called Final Exam at one point. They changed the name, which of course there's other Final Exams, and it was supposed to come out, I believe, as The Legacy. I could have that flipped, but it was scheduled for a DVD release in 2007, and it never happened. New Concord closed shop, and there's apparently a movie out there. I know Jim Wynorski has posted photos and I think poster art for it, but it's
sort of
a
like
little
the Sleepaway Camp 4 movie. Kind of just
well, this one has just never been seen or leaked or anything. Like,
okay.
There's some question marks because if it wrapped in 2002, I don't know what the holdup was to 2007. I don't know what the whole story is there, because some stuff doesn't quite add up. But this was made right before Cheerleader Massacre, which is the last kind of official film.
Which we'll let you get onto that in a second. Griffin.
But I wanted to throw that out there. The one that isn't out, but was shot.
No, I'm glad you did. I almost forgot about that and did want to make a note of that.
Yeah.
Griffin, yes. I would say you're correct on that. Corman was responsible for starting the careers of James Cameron, Martin Scorsese,
Jonathan Demme.
Jonathan, lots of folks.
I mean, there's people in all. You might not like these B movies that we're talking about tonight, but Roger Corman is responsible for A titles. I mean, the Corman Poe films. I mean, my God, if you're a horror fan, certainly you love some Mask of the Red Death.
Those are classics.
Absolute stone cold classics. And his legacy is insane. Ron Howard. Yeah. I mean, my God, it touches the top of Hollywood. Jack Nicholson, Sylvester Stallone, like so many movies that you don't associate with Roger Corman, you probably wouldn't have had without Roger Corman. So, yeah, true icon.
Yeah. And I don't know if I had a change of heart, just a change of tastes and styles at the time. I don't know. Or maybe I just missed these by that point. It's a different time. It was a different time. Final final thoughts on the official movies, even though these next ones are kind of considered that Drew and Dan are going to talk about. I
The-
haven't seen them.
Sorority House
yeah.
Massacre 2 is the best of all of these movies.
This one might be my favorite out of all of it.
They're all kind of in the conversation.
Hard to Die.
It's hard. Yeah, it's hard for me to decide between this and Slumber Party Massacre 2.
Oh.
I'd have to like back to back them to really know what delivers more for me. But yeah, this is definitely my favorite. I mean, no knock against Sorority House Massacre 2 because that one's also just as excellent. It's hard to say, but I love them. I do.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Like I said, the earlier ones are probably just my favorites. You know, the first two Slumber Parties in that order, then Sorority House, then maybe Sorority House 2.
Yeah.
And then I'm just kind of they all poofity poof.
They're all fun, Jess. You'll have to get a hold of Hard to Die and some of these other ones. They're overall, I mean, again, I know most people aren't going to consider this an A-level franchise, but I'd say the batting average is pretty damn good. Like, I don't think they've ever completely shit the bed on one of these movies.
Like one of the cheerleader, I might have seen it in the early 2000s or something. Cheerleader Massacres because of Brink Stevens, but I don't recall. Which do you want to get onto that? I guess, or
yeah, just the first one, really.
What'd you say? What was your favorite, Kory, of these? All in all, so far.
Sorority House Massacre 2.
Okay.
So I'm actually looking up right now.
And yours is hard.
Oh, yeah, can I tell you guys something funny? I want to tell you
Drew?
guys something funny real quick.
Okay.
So, back in 2020, I ordered a copy of Sorority House Massacre 2 on DVD. It was one of those like Corman Collection DVDs. And when I got it from eBay, I opened it, and inside was Slumber Party Massacre 3.
Oh, that would take you off.
I remember I messaged the guy. It's like, oh man, I'm sorry I mixed that up. It was so funny though. It's just so funny.
So a few years ago, I know for a fact that Hard to Die was on YouTube, but I believe it was censored. So like they had cut out all the nude scenes, or at least blurred them or whatever, but I can't find it on here now. So,
but I can send it to you on
I might. Yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah, well, Drew's got it.
Keep that movie on my drive always.
It's very highly requested for Blu-ray.
Yeah, man. The 2 and 3, I'm sure it's just some sort of issue with one thing or another, but I just can't imagine they wouldn't sell out or their little 1,500 limited edition run real quick.
I would say so. I mean, I think actually even with those inflated prices for the Shout Select,
it's like $34 shipped. That's pretty pricey.
Yeah, for like Blood Fist and like some of these movies. But
they had a little good
Hard
run.
to Die sells out fast.
They had a little good run, I think, either late last year or something, Dan, where they did a Strip to Kill and Final Judgment, I think is what that movie was. It Brad Dourif?
Yeah.
They did that one, Dance with the Damned. I got that one also.
They've been a little slower on the output lately, but there's still a ton of Corman stuff that they could put out.
Yeah.
I mean, there's stuff like Sawbones, but it's not a very good movie, and $35 is.
Oh, yeah. That has like the same cover as Dr. Giggles, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it was one of those medical horror things that were popular at the moment. But
the dentist and stuff. Yeah, that's funny.
Hard to Die, I think, sells out pretty fast if they can make it happen.
It's not even a sorority or slumber party, really. It's
not.
Slasher agrees with you, Drew, as far as your favorite, but
yeah.
I just want to throw out there, Chris, I'm going to steal a quote from our friend Jonathan, Mr. Bombastic, and say, it's okay. It's all right to be wrong.
And Dan, you just told. Did you say you didn't say Hard to Die or was your favorite?
Your favorite?
Oh, it depends what day you ask me. I mean, I think the Wynorski era is really strong, but it's totally different. I mean, the first movie is the best made movie.
The Slumber Party Massacre.
Yes,
1982. Okay.
Yeah, and sometimes I might say that, but I might be in a hard to die kind of mood. So,
well,
yeah.
It just depends. Is he in the mood for big boobs or small boobs?
Am I in the mood for John McClane or yeah?
Well, then I'm gonna watch Die Hard.
But you
There's
don't
a
get
lot
boobs
more
in that.
Yes. Yes. No slow motion running up the stairs and thongs in that one. Reginald Bell Johnson may do that in private, but not on the big screen.
I don't even want to get into that story. That disturbs me.
You don't get Orville in Die Hard, so
No, I'm telling you, Orville should be a cult staple. He really should, because I know people love these movies and they need to shout Orville's name from the rafters because he's an icon. Imagine Orville and Ash together in some sort of scenario. We need Deadites in the Wynorski verse.
Orville versus the Army of Darkness, yeah.
Exactly, because they can't fucking kill him. There's no way. Like, he's just gonna keep coming. So
that would just be at the very least a really good comic. That would be awesome.
He's an iconic fat guy. The Fat Terminator. There you go. There it is. There you go. Orville Ketchum is greater than John McClane. Indeed. Indeed. He might not be able to run from the terrorists as well as McClane, but he doesn't need to. Doesn't need to.
No, you guys get out of town. Discuss that on when the Rumble does maybe the Die Hard franchise.
I will have Rossum Creations make a Justice for Orville shirt, and I will wear it on that episode.
Oh yeah.
No, what have you done? What have you all done? Griffin says, if you want big boobs, watch Under Siege.
Erica Laniak, absolutely. It's a giant tits.
Well, are you and Drew ready to Dan and Drew ready to go off on? I did ended up putting them up here.
Another great poster. Great call back to the style of those movies. You got the penis back in action.
You got the penis back. Except this time, is that a chainsaw?
Yeah, I think it is.
We need to cast Riley Reid in this franchise.
That would be excellent. Wow. Yeah,
she ain't afraid of no drill or chainsaw.
Indeed.
And I just want to point out the tagline on that wasn't very good.
The tagline, just when you thought it was safe to go back to school. Yeah, not as good. Not
as good.
But another Jim Wynorski film. Hard for me to criticize him. I just love what he does.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, we're playing with a lot less money. Things changed quite a bit between 1990 and 2002 when it was shot, 2003 when it came out.
This is like shot on video, right, Dan?
Yeah. It and that's a little bit jarring, especially when you watch all of these at once and you kind of get there. One thing that I will say for this movie is the skin quotient. It knows what it is. It's some of the best nudity. In fact, I feel like a lot of people who haven't seen this might say it's the best in the franchise. It's really strong.
Yeah.
This one's different too because you've got a killer on the loose and it's up in the mountains. I know they shot this in Gorman, California. I believe it was kind of off the beaten path. I know portions of it were shot at not North Hollywood High.
I know that. I used to live pretty close to there.
Yeah. I love some of the cameos in here. You can tell like it wasn't as easy at this point to get stuff made. But we get Nikki Fritz, a softcore icon who sadly had passed away a while back as well. Pops up. It's cheap, so some of the kills and everything in this are not as up to snuff. But he manages to still make a fun movie. We get Brink Stevens returning from the original film. Sadly, doesn't have a whole lot to do. That's like my biggest issue with this movie. I wish they could have tied her in a little bit more. But we get all the flashbacks that very much, once again, makes this it's canon.
Sequel. Yeah,
it's canon. But this one, I'm not going to lie. This one's more, the highlight is it's a titty flick, and it's not a bad titty flick.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it delivers all the things I would want from this kind of movie. Something that is just kind of a lost art, sadly. So I appreciate this movie for that. And the acting is top tier for what you'd expect from this kind of movie.
Very, very much. Gigi Ernetta, not a name you probably see thrown around a lot, who plays Deputy Adams. She's really good in this. She was in a movie called Crime Spree with Amber Smith. It's a lot of fun, and she's had a little bit of mainstream success lately. She was the reporter in the Happy Death Day movies, and just, one of those names you may not know, but she's out there still working. And we get April Flowers, who pops up in here as Tammy Ray. A lot of just an insane amount of beautiful women in this movie. And we also get Lenny Giuliano, another name I feel like a lot of people don't know, but he was kind of the comic relief camera guy in the Bear Wench Project movies. So he was somebody that worked a lot with Wynorski, and not a name you might be aware of, but I think very talented. And this is not a movie I recommend to everybody. I'm not saying you have to go out of your way to see it, but if you like eye candy, that is definitely here. It's Wynorski, so it's really well paced. It's still worth the watch.
Definitely, yeah.
Well, it sounds like if you combined the boobs and what you were saying of this movie and the 2021 Slumber Party Massacre, you might have had a good movie. Good new Slumber Sorority Cheerleader Massacre movie.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I totally understand why people don't like the remake, and it still is at the bottom, near the bottom of my list. But this movie's spirit a little bit more, I think, would have helped that, because you sprinkle some nudity in that remake. I don't think it's as hated as it would be.
Sounds like that's the biggest problem. The lack of.
Yeah. And I don't remember a whole lot about it. There is technically a Cheerleader Massacre 2.
I do have a copy of that. I have not watched it yet.
Horrible poster, it looks like.
I kind of like it. Not gonna lie.
I do like the tagline.
That's a better tagline, right, Kory?
Yeah, much better.
If I'm not like I said, my memory on this one's not very good, because I think this one is more or less just taking the title, and it doesn't.
From
really
what I understand, yeah.
So sorry, don't have specific thoughts on that one. It's been too long.
We didn't even plan on covering it, so you guys gave much more than we honestly thought we'd get. So, but it is cool to hear a little bit about you guys' thoughts on those, because when I was researching, they are considered all one kind of messed up franchise: the Slumber Party Massacres, the Sorority House Massacres, and then now the Cheerleader Massacres. And again, there's just tons of other copycats or like offshoot, kind of like the Amityville movies that want to be a part of that franchise.
The one I'm thinking of in all of this, Dan, is that movie Spring Break Massacre that has Linnea Quigley and Reggie Bannister.
Yeah. There's a lot that try and piggyback Slumber Party. Brink Stevens is the connecting tissue to a lot of those movies, because she just does so much indie stuff that Yeah. I mean, at this point, I'm not expecting anything, but I would say Brink Stevens' character is still out there. So,
Technically,
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
yeah. So there's something you could do if you really wanted to. Chris, that Kansas Prison Massacre. I think I actually upset Jim Wynorski when we reviewed that years ago because
Oh,
it was
boy.
lacking some things that you'd expect from that story.
That has been the reason why I've put off watching it. Yeah.
Yeah, the spirit's kind of there, but it's not great. I
Sounds like
think
such a
if I
great premise
recall,
too.
yeah, it might be technically connected through like some references to Jim Wynorski movies, but no, not really. Not that I remember. Again, that was a one-time watch, and I didn't care for it. So, yeah, I'd have to go check, but I don't think that one ties in directly. I think it might have been like a funny little wink and nod reference. Yeah. So.
Oh, I can tell you that I have not seen any of those, and a big part of that is I tried to sit down and watch those Blood Fart Lake movies.
Terror at Blood Fart Lake.
Yes, and while they're
Those
funny as hell, they are horrible. And I'm always afraid I'm going to end up watching something similar to that again. So,
Okay.
so anybody got anything else they want to say about these?
Take the plunge if you haven't seen them.
Definitely.
And
Good
I
You
will
won't
time.
be
say,
you won't
So
be bored.
yeah, exactly. You won't be bored. You'll be entertained. These movies are just like made to please, for sure.
I will say that Sorority House Massacre 2 is the breast.
A little bit slow.
Got a delayed reaction from Jess there.
Yeah, no, you're wrong. The best is the Slumber Party Massacre. Dan and I decided that that is just how it goes.
Jess, Griffin wants to know if we are going to cover the Stranger movies once the new trilogy is released.
I mean, it's not impossible, but remember, we were doing one show a month for the first 3 seasons, and we're about ready to switch it up. And every other month will be the Rumble, which is going to be a lot of different genres of movies, franchises, and genres of movies itself. I don't,
Starting
So
next month.
it would be a long time before we got to it, but that's also not to say that it couldn't end up on the Wheel of Horror as a discussion.
Yeah.
So if you don't know what that is, go check it out. That's got a lot of different topics of horror and mostly movies, different movies, franchises, or single movies that we haven't covered. So it could end up, we could end up discussing that, Griffin, and possibly get you on one of those shows and discuss
Definitely.
it. So, but speaking of, I guess we're kind of wrapping this up. Kory, do you want to? Should we go around, or should we just say, since I started, what we got coming up? This is the season finale of this, and then we'll go to the other guys.
Yeah, that's fine. Just go ahead.
Who's first?
It is. Well, as I was saying, next month we are going to be releasing a brand new show, or a spin-off show. We're talking about spin-offs tonight, called The Rumble. And it is a spin-off of this show, obviously, but with different topics, as I said. And June's topic is the Star Wars saga. That's episodes 1 through 9.
None of the in-between shit.
I would love to talk about it, but we'd be there. That would be like a 12-hour stream.
Oh, God.
Yeah, so we're going to start with that, then just the episode 9 movies, 1 through 9. And then we'll be back with our first Horror Rumble of season 4 in July.
Yep.
If I'm correct. And we'll start that off with, I think, Trivia Night 6.
Here's your
Okay.
invitation, Chris. You want to challenge Dan for his title? You got to win trivia night first.
You got to win Trivia Night. That is the... And you get a t-shirt, I think.
Yeah.
So-
You can use it to wipe the blood off your face when I'm done with you.
Same with you, Drew. I don't think you've been on any of the trivia nights.
Oh, I know I wouldn't beat Dan, but I'd certainly love to be there.
Well, give it a try. It's
Yeah. Sounds
be a lot
fun,
of fun.
regardless.
Chris is trying to make it a little personal here, Dan. He's saying if you're man enough.
We'll see what happens. To be the man.
Yeah, this is giving me flashbacks of I don't remember who your adversary was in this, but the whole like Ging saga of 2020.
Oh yeah. We just unearthed those episodes. I guess everybody was kind of competing for the heart of Ging.
Oh man, great time.
It's quite some funny videos. We'll have to
We'll
have to share those with you in private, probably.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Drew and I do a nice dance
Oh yeah, I remember
number on the.
Steak accused me of beating my cats.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah, there was a
God.
battle of love between Dan and a few others in the.
I'm trying to
Is that
remember
the right
who
thing
was
to
it,
say.
Dan, that-
Don't they eat cats or something?
It was partially a joke, but
Ooh.
it was there was a CHH. There was Hayden. I think Steak Sauce was on there.
She liked Christian a lot, but we did a lot of work to convince her that Christian was gay.
I was gay.
Well,
To try and because we were all fighting for the number 2 spot. She loved Christian, so I don't know. We had to do something. All's fair in love or more. So
It's the hair, Dan. I'm telling you.
did it take a lot of convincing, or
I don't remember. We just all started popping into her streams. There's one other one where there's a dance off.
I remember. I just remember the dance studio bit, which was excellent. It was great.
Yeah. There's a dance off. I have a couple of those that I found. Yeah, I'm trying to play it sensitive here, and then there's one where I'm kind of nastier, and I think I said Hayden had AIDS or something awful.
Thing going. Gang, I'm gay, by the way, gang. If you didn't know, so I do appreciate your kindness.
Gay?
I am gay.
Oh, this is the
Okay.
moment he
Si
decides to come
Cornelius,
out.
ay may pritong manok sa...
Heartbroken. That's so funny.
yeah,
One of those streams that can't be hidden.
I couldn't help it. I couldn't help it.
Griffin, we have not covered the Death Wish movies, so
Would those be more like action, wouldn't they?
yeah, that would be action.
So yeah, we haven't even premiered
Fun.
the Rumble, so maybe down the road again.
I'm in for a Death Wish stream. That'd be fun.
There's a lot to cover, so we'll see if we'll be on here for years yet. So you're gonna get, as far as the plan goes, you're gonna get this within this next year. You're gonna get 6 The Rumble episodes and 6 Horror Rumble episodes. So
Sweet.
should be fun.
Hell yeah.
And what do you fellas got coming up on yours? I guess we'll give Dan the champion the first go around. What's going on?
We gotta get Dan an updated picture.
That's great.
Flesh Wound features here on YouTube. I know we're going to be reviewing Furiosa and In a Violent Nature. It'll be a late show Wednesday night, so stay tuned for that. We have a trailer show. We're trying to wait till we get like a few of us for that, so that'll probably be next week, but it'll be live on Patreon, and then it'll be on YouTube probably later. But yeah, trailer show, that, and Kruger's continuing his he's all over the place right now, man. He's got wrestling shows every week, so keep an eye out for Squared Circle Society and everything that Kruger's up to. He's got the Under the Crimson Sea death match coming up at CCW, and I know that there's going to be fish hooks going through flesh, people being hung off things. It's going to be pretty gory if you appreciate some real gore.
So all you wrestling fans, yes,
Yes.
check that out too. And Andrew, what's going on? Anything you want to promote?
No, I mean, I just hope to jam with you guys some more. It's always a wonderful time. It always feels good. So trivia night sounds like a plan for me. And I don't know what. So the next Rumble, you said it's Star Wars, right?
The Rumble next month, sometime in June.
The good for that, I don't have to prepare for that. I can go into my Star Wars all day, and that can be a really obnoxious Rumble for sure.
You like me. You sound like me. This should be fun.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
Okay, well, I'll keep you updated.
I just want to say, because I will be there. Like, unless I'm working for some reason, I will definitely be there. But one thing I want to just preface now is that I have like less of love for the original trilogy because of the sequel trilogy. So that'll be really fun to go into.
Oh, that's interesting. Because I will say you shouldn't. I get where you're coming from, but you shouldn't let that tarnish what the original
hard,
trilogy.
man. I'll go into it more when the time comes.
Okay.
but my love for the prequel trilogy is immense, so that'll be fun to talk about.
Well, you can find him, Andrew, around YouTube. He's been on tons of shows. He's got his own channel, which we'll link up if you want us to down below, as I always do. It's great having you, man. It's been too long.
Yeah, it's great to be here. I'm so glad.
Hopefully you will, be coming back the next couple months for some shows. So.
And Zombie, I know you said you wanted one of these shirts. I'm sure Jess is going to put the link to Rawsome Creations page
down in the description below under these guys' link. And Dan, always there to save a show. So informative, good friend. Thank you for coming.
Absolutely. It was fun.
And Kory, we'll be back with, of course, the shows we just said, and possibly some specials this summer. I know I say that every episode. You'll just have to keep waiting.
I'm waiting for one.
What's that?
I'm waiting for one show.
Go ahead.
Just waiting for you to. Oh, can I say the title?
Is it the one you were wanting to produce, or what?
No, it's the one that you brought up yesterday when we were on the phone.
Your title.
Oh,
it's your title.
Well, I'm hoping, and if everybody can help me out here, I'm trying to get Jess to do his own show called TGI Jess.
It would be a one-off, a special TGI Jess, but
it's a great title.
Griffin just drawing Dan makes him look so pissed. Angry Dan.
Never capture my sensitive side.
Thank you, Chris. Hopefully, again, you'll be able to join us for at least by the trivia show. Can't remember if he was there for the last group one. I thought he might have been, but I could be wrong. And Griffin, you're right. Like I said, especially if we went beyond the 9 movies, if we did the spin-off movies, the TV shows, the cartoons, it would be like 3 days probably. TGI Jess, we'll get into it more behind the scenes, but TGI Jess, the idea I have, could not happen if we don't do it as an ensemble. That if everybody brings, whether it's a skit, a song, something to it. I mean, it's like a variety show in my mind, a Friday night variety show. So
sounds awesome.
But thank you guys, and thank you everybody for watching. I think we've popped up all the ones who have dropped by. Zombie, Griffin here hanging out with us lately. Chris from Slasher Home Video.
Winter Steel,
Orc, Steak Sauce, Jay the Stingray, Cliff Booth. God, I'm going to forget somebody, and they're going to think I don't like them or something.
No more shout-outs.
Shout-outs all around. Shout-out Riverman, Mikey Dying Breed. Yeah, just, you're all great. Love y'all. And until next time.